Hey everyone, in this video I'm reviewing Green Day's album Revolution Radio. This is their relatively new album, and I have to say right off the bat that this album is the album that they should have come out with right after 21st Century Breakdown, which is the album they came out with right after American Idiot. In between, after 21st Century Breakdown, they had a 3-album release where they released 3 albums, I think 1 month after each other. Those 3 albums were called Uno, Dos, and Tres. And I thought those albums were sort of forgettable in my opinion. I can understand what they were trying to do with those albums. They were trying to get back more to a garage type sound, maybe more of a sort of amateur type sound and a less polished type sound, because both the albums, American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown, were really polished and very highly engineered albums. And they sold really a lot of copies as well and were very popular. And I think they were trying to just get a little bit more back to their roots or whatever with those 3 albums, Uno, Dos, and Tres. However, I didn't really like those albums very much. I just couldn't get into them for some reason. Maybe it's because I like albums that are more well produced, or albums with stronger songwriting and more sort of catchy songs. But I found those albums just not really that fun to listen to, and you know, I mean, they were still good, but they weren't nearly to the level that I think Green Day had grown to up until that point. So I found that sort of interesting that they took that kind of a departure, but I can understand why they did it. Anyway, Revolution Radio is not like that. Revolution Radio, in my opinion, is almost like a follow-up to 21st Century Breakdown. So if you liked American Idiot and you liked 21st Century Breakdown, but didn't like Uno, Dos, and Tres, you're really going to like Revolution Radio. It's really a strong album. And by the way, look at the album cover. Really cool artwork there. And Green Day didn't have any kind of record company input or anything when they recorded this album. They just went into the studio for something like 2 years and worked on this album themselves, you know, like with in their own studio, with their own money and stuff like that. So they have managed to produce a really great album here with a lot of great songs. There isn't a single song on this album that I don't like, actually. I have to say probably my favorite song, though, is Still Breathing. I think that one rocks, you know, quite well. I think that one is the strongest song, in my opinion, on this album. But just looking at the song list here, all of the songs are quite strong songs and exhibit really good songwriting on Billie Joe's part. It should also be noted that the last song is more of a kind of a ballad, and it's called Ordinary World, and I believe that was written for the movie that Billie Joe Armstrong is starring in, called Ordinary World. So that's more of a slow song, but it does end the album quite well. So it's not like it doesn't necessarily fit on the album or belong on the album. But it is a little bit of a different type of song than some of the other songs on the album, which tend to be a lot faster and probably harder than, you know, that song. I can tell you that Revolution Radio is really a strong release from Green Day. And as someone who's been following them ever since I was a kid and has every one of their albums, I think this one is definitely one of their strongest albums. As of this moment, American Idiot remains my favorite Green Day album, and this one is my second favorite, with probably 21st Century Breakdown being my third favorite. And then some of the earlier albums, like Dookie, and even their greatest hits album, you know, being next in line. Now that will probably fluctuate as time goes on, as I listen to this more and you know, maybe get listening fatigue or whatever with this one. You know, things would change in their album lineup in terms of my favorite order of Green Day albums and stuff like that. But Revolution Radio is definitely up there in terms of Green Day albums. And if you liked American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown but didn't like Uno, Dos, and Tres, this is the album for you. I think you're really going to like it quite a bit. The song track list on Revolution Radio is Somewhere Now, Bang Bang, Revolution Radio, Say Goodbye, Outlaws, Bouncing Off the Wall, Still Breathing, Young Blood, Too Dumb to Die, Troubled Times, Forever Now, and Ordinary World. And again, as I read through that track list and recall the songs in my mind, There's not a single song on here that sticks out as being one that I don't like. They're all quite good and very strong songs. So really good songwriting on this album for sure. Now I actually don't know if I can play tracks on YouTube or snippets without having my video like being flagged for like some kind of copyright or something like that. If anyone knows, please feel free to leave a comment, because ideally when I do these reviews, it would be kind of nice to be able to play snippets of the actual songs, you know, on albums when I do album reviews. But I'm being kind of careful about that because I'm just not really sure what the rules are on that. But again, my favorite song on this album is Still Breathing. I think that's the strongest song, but I really like all the songs on this, and I think it's definitely a strong release from Green Day. And again, it is more along the lines of 21st Century Breakdown and a little bit of American Idiot than it is along the lines of their last three albums, Uno, Dos, and Tres. So this has been my album review of Green Day's Revolution Radio. Really cool artwork too, by the way. Thanks for watching this video. As always, for community and discussion, see the comments field, and for pricing and availability, see the description field.